Good morning and welcome back to the Ahn Rho Project. This is the first, or maybe the second live stream in the past 9 days, I believe, and so it's taken a while. So it's going to be the first of two live streams today. And let me step inside and say that we've had a very chaotic week. So that's what we're going to cover in the first of two live streams today. If you see in the title, what you see is what you get. As usual, it says Chaos Week, and you see a whole bunch of screenshots on the pan on the left and the right hand side of the live stream. We're going to be covering exactly what all that text means, all that garbled, cryptic messaging. It's a lot of it's a huge, long task list, and that's what we're going to talk about in the first live stream. The second live stream will be covering some stuff that we actually should have covered about maybe 2 weeks ago, and that's going to be diving back into, I guess, recovery mode and making sure that we cover all the content that we've missed, but in addition to everything that's happened within the 2 weeks, while this entire chaotic week or chaotic month has been going down. So with that being said, we're going to deliver the first introduction in about 2 weeks, so forgive me if I'm a little bit shoddy with it, but the Ahn Rho Project, as I used to say, is basically this self-therapeutic multimedia project. I'm going to pose a question to you, which is simply, if you had only 100 hours left in your life, how would you spend those 100 hours? What three most important things would you do for the three most important people in your life, as well as for yourself, to die without regrets, to live the last moments of your life to satisfaction? And that is one, I guess, analogy that summarizes a sub-series of the Ahn Rho Project dedicated to management. So a lot of time management. 100 days is only about, 100 hours is only about 4 days. I'm facing a larger situation, which is more like 1,000 days, and 1,000 days is about 3 years. So I'm assuming that I dropped dead at the age of 30. And so that's one of the sub-series of the Ahn Rho Project that forces me to manage my time more effectively and to focus on more results-driven goals and objectives. And so that's one sub-series of the Ahn Rho Project that focuses that's management, more abstract stuff. That's part of the Ahn Rho Project. We have more concrete stuff, things that are more physical in nature. We cover objects and items that come in and out of our life, and we call that the item catalog sub-series. So that's another sub-series, and is something that we're going to cover in the second of two live streams today as well. That one focuses on all the material things, from clothing to electronics. Everything that comes in must come out, kind of like business. If you take a look at a warehousing and distribution center, it's like keeping track of inventory. What comes in must come out, so you have shipping and receiving, and then processing, all that kind of stuff. But also, obviously, on stream, it's a lot more creative in that I'm talking about what purpose I would use each item and just where it comes from. If it's a gift, I talk about the stories, about the people who are influenced by that, or who have influenced me, and how much I appreciate their gifts or just their company in general. So those are two major sub-series to the Ahn Rho Project, and there are many more other segments such as money and finance, relationships, careers, hobbies and interests, from money to games and stuff like that. But a lot of those things have been put into the backlog until I get better at live streaming. And so the Ahn Rho Project as a whole incorporates all the little hundreds and maybe 150, 500, thousands of factors in life that we have to consider. It's like a survival game. It's like self-therapy to solve my own personal issues. It's also, of course, like a business and like a journey. And the most important one, I would say, the best analogy is to say this is just a time record for me to look back on maybe 40 years down the road, if I'm still here, maybe just 20, 30 years, who knows, I'll get run over by the bus tomorrow, something like that, right? And so it's really a time record for me to look back on how things have changed. So that's the introduction. It wasn't very brief, it's a bit long-winded, but that's because, again, I haven't practiced it in so long that it's, 2 weeks isn't a long time, but two weeks is long enough for me to fall out of shape. So with that being said, what do we have to cover today? I said at the very beginning of the title, Again, welcome if you're from Facebook, Twitch, wherever you're coming from YouTube Live. I don't believe anyone's there either. But there's actually another platform, a Korean platform up there too. So, 안녕하세요. I guess that's how they say hello in Korean. Wherever you're from, wherever in the world you're from, to the Ahn Rho Project. Today's first live stream, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're going to cover the huge mess that happened over the course of this month that caused me to fall out. And when I say cause, that's a mindset I'm trying to get rid of, because although I'm very STEM oriented or scientifically oriented, one of the major issues with being, I guess, analytical and scientific in nature is that you start to attribute a lot of things to determinism. You start to give yourself excuses. And while part of your life is determined, another part of it is based on the decisions that you make. And even though you know that, your decisions are predetermined as well. So there's this free will and determinism dichotomy going down, but you still have to do your best. That's the only way. You have to take responsibility for things that are outside of your control sometimes. And so it's been a really chaotic month, and everything just collapsed all into one. I can say without question, at first I thought it was just maybe 10, 15, 20 different things coming together. Then it increased up to 30 to 40 different things. And then eventually I came to realize that no, it's more than 150 different small tasks combined together into maybe 30 major categories, from insurance to health appointments to my caregivers having severe surgery and disease, and me myself, my own health problems that are coming from the stress, and then I'm working full time, and then trying to manage this project, and then having my volunteering gigs on the side. The seniors, I haven't called them yet, my clients, and then on top of that, having to renew my courses for a hospital that I volunteer for, and then all that kind of stuff. Everything came in all at once, and then I'm in the process of paying off the massive loans I have to the government, and this is the right time for that. And it coincided, my massive payments to the student debt, I'm paying it off completely in principle at the same time that my bills all mishmashed together at the same time, with my rent payments, which is over $1,000 for 3 months, right? Everything just came together all at once in this month, in this one single, it felt like at first just 1 or 2 weeks, but then it just kept coming back to back. More interruptions, more distractions, more issues, very important issues. And we're gonna run through some of these things on camera. But you see 2 screenshots on Dropbox. That's what it is on Dropbox. So you take a top left and a top right. That's a long task list that I've summarized. I actually sat down for almost 2 to 3 hours just typing all that stuff up. It might have been even longer than that, because I was trying to organize how many things I had to cover and sort of cluster them together. I might say, here are 15 tasks, all related to work benefits, dental benefits, stuff like that. And I grouped them all into one. And then one has to do with, say, investment and finance, and I would group, say, 5 to 10 tasks together that are all related to finance and investment. And then I would group some for employment. I grouped them together for the volunteering gig. I would group them together for the hospital that I volunteer at as well. So I have 2 different volunteer organizations. Relationship matters, 2 to 3 decades of broken relationships, trying to mend them. That might be in the screen, and I have a phone right here that I'm just going to show it to the camera right here, what it looks like. I believe it's at least 150 lines, but I haven't even listed about 40% of all the things I have to do. No, that's an exaggeration. At least 60% of it's down on paper. So if I can just keep scrolling here, these are all the tasks that I've tried to cope with. And I just listed them down straightforward, and I don't want to give too much detail. I can say for a fact that maybe there's some stuff here that's a bit more confidential that I'm supposed to show, but at this point it doesn't really matter, because what really matters is that I have an understanding of the full picture. I need the scope, the bigger picture, and be able to see all the 100 different things, so I can prioritize properly what's the most important, even though at least half of the things here, like I mentioned, from health to finance to relationships, all of them are very important things. Like I said, this is like a management game. Real life is like a management game. It's a much more complex game than any of those, online things that you do. Um, Reality is much more cruel and much more unforgiving, and it's so overwhelming. Um, so I'm going to run through some of these things. So it looks like to me that there are at least 10 categories of tasks that I've put down here, some of which you see on the screen. So I'm going to start from the very top. And what I see is that 18 times, so 18x, maybe 18 tasks of what. It looks like to me the top one seems to be related to, what's that? Personal reconciliation. So most urgent. So it had to do with the most urgent things I need to do. I just put on the very top, no matter what category or domain it fell into life, whether it be finance or relationships or hobbies and interests, I put them at the very top. They were the most urgent. The next line was about 11. And I see 11 has a lot to do with the business side of this project. So the Ahn Rho Project, again, you're tuning in right now. That is the Ahn Rho Project. I've been trying to create new accounts for different platforms that I live stream to. I'm trying to set up certain playlists, sync up, create. Like I have about 25 playlists on my Twitch account. Again, you can check that out, or on YouTube. You'll find that I'm just working, experimenting, but I'm supposed to sync that up with SoundCloud and podcasts on Podbean and so on and so forth. So I have to create those playlists. So it's just a whole bunch of tasks relating to this project. Then it seems, so that's about 11x, but there's actually a lot more than that. Then the next set is, it looks like to me, about 10 to 15 tasks relating to just basic survival needs. So groceries, laundry, all that, and including, like I said, I had to pay over $1,000 for the past 3 months, but it's all bundled into 1 month. So I was making that payment, a check to my landlord. And so that's included there too. So a whole bunch of stuff there. The next one that comes up is, it seems to be Fitbit. So Fitbit, this is very health related. I was exploring a new app called Fitbit that, of course, is not that new. I'm pretty sure some of you are familiar with this technology. And it's basically supposed to track, you enter all the values, how much water you drank, how much food you had, and all that kind of stuff into the app. And so I was exploring that, creating a new account, searching out the community, downloading onto my phone even, just, researching it on Wiki. On top of that, I also have started a new partnership business, finally, with one of my colleagues that I met at the hospital. She is a retired nurse, and she is part of this cellular biomedical nutritional company that I've always wanted to join as well and do work with her on. So I guess I've started, in addition to this side project, which eventually might blossom into a business, I now have an official business with that is related to my own field, which is biomedical science. So that's great. Again, all the onboarding, I had to fill out so many forms and agreements, it wasn't very many. It was just a few forms actually, but I had so many materials that came in. I mean, in terms of the item catalog subseries I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, man, I had like, 20 to 30 things just come in on 1 week, and then the next week I had a meeting with her, and I had so many new products that I want to try out that supplement my health, especially, during these times, this pandemic times, it's very important. So all that kind of stuff I have to now take photographs of, screenshots of, and then I have to create an Excel database to track and measure how these products have an influence on my immune system, as well as my digestive system, as well as my respiratory system, all that kind of stuff, and how it feels, and just measure that. So that's about 4 clusters already. Another major cluster, like I said, insurance. So I had a dentist appointment, but I also had to I had to actually create an account for both of my insurance policies. So one of them is with a company that provides life insurance, and another company provides my workplace benefits. So obviously I needed to set up direct deposit. I had to create the account, but then I also have to track everything and prepare those materials for a live stream that I held previously about 2 weeks ago. And so obviously everything that I do is always incorporated into this Ahn Rho project because it's life management, right? So everything is included. I keep things confidential when they have to be, but at least I can talk about them, right? And I still need some materials to show that are very vague, but I can still show it. Like I can just show the Manulife logo. So all that kind of stuff, man, that was just insurance. On top of that, I had to seek out, so another cluster. I had to travel. I had to travel locally and search out one of the optician clinics that I had maybe way back about 15 years ago when I was a kid. My father, anyways, long story short, my glasses got crushed, so I had to purchase a new one, but I don't like the new style frame. So that's something that's on the low priority spectrum, but something more high priority with my dentist appointment, and then also orthopedics. So all three of these health research locally, like just traveling to find orthopedics, so orthotics, as well as glasses, so optometrists, as well as dentists. Man, that was a whole other category of things that I had to do as a part, again, of this game that we call life. All right, moving on. Again, paying off the loans. It seems to me that at the very bottom here, there's still quite a few things. One major thing that I have to talk about. Oh, there's at least 3 more sections. It's overwhelming. It's insane. Like there's so much here. I can't even cover it all on this single live stream. And I don't want to cover it all because this live stream is supposed to be less than about 15 minutes, but I think it's already way past that point. I'll just wrap it up here by saying, listen, one of the major things that I've had to do over this week was I mentioned that one of my caregivers has an ailment or a very severe chronic disease in many of her different organ systems. For instance, she has stomach ulcers, and recently, during COVID-19, she had a ridiculous injection because of her long-term arthritis or chronic arthritis and tendonitis. She took an injection that, because without it, she actually couldn't sleep. It was so painful that she could not sleep. She would wake up every half hour gripping and clutching her arms. And so she took that injection reluctantly, and that destroyed her health. The side effects, acid reflux every night, burning a hole into her tongue, and then having taken a scan after that injection and realizing that there were almost like tumors several inside. Oh, it's just a mess, and I don't know what to do, because that's partly health related to her, but the most important thing is that when we say health related to her, it's actually a relationship problem for me, because for more than 2 to 3 decades, which is basically most of my life, we have not gotten along at all, because they were the very aggressive, extremely strict. They would just, especially on my father's side, he would just hold my face against the wall and scream at me for hours on end, repeating the same things 50 times over and over again when I was only 6, and then that would continue on for years and years and years. And long story short, I don't want to call it abuse, because everyone's got challenges, and I'm not trying to downplay it, but the point is, it's still my responsibility. No matter how much they did that, I still acknowledge and still am grateful for the fact that even though they couldn't teach me and they couldn't raise me properly, in fact they hurt me, the fact is they provided food, shelter, and clothing. If a parent does those 3 things, already they're a parent. They may be a bad parent, but they're still a parent. And a parent gives more than anything else, because you know that they at least tried their best. If they haven't abandoned you on the street and left you as an orphan, then they've done something for you that's clearly beyond what any friend or even close friend would ever do for you. They provided their own life efforts, energy, their own love and savings just to keep you alive, and it takes a lot to keep you alive, let me tell you that. And so I had to reconcile within myself the ability to meet my obligations to try and make her life worth living. She wanted to die just last week, and I brought her out of that, and we sat down for almost 5 hours on several occasions over the past 2 weeks just to come to terms with the tremendous 6-figure debts that they have with the 30-year lifelong health issues that they've put on against each other, to the ways that, you know, that bled into my life as well. And you know, learning everything and how close they were to divorce and stuff like that. Just making sure that I found a way to diagnose all of that, because I'm almost like their self-therapist, that their psychotherapist at this point, as well as a personal physician at this point too. That was probably the most major thing that happened. That was the single most important thing that caused the collapse. I don't want to say cause, but caused the collapse of this entire month, this chaos month. That is the highlight of everything. That is the absolute worst thing that I had to cope with, but it's also the absolute best thing that I have been trying to resolve. I've been waiting for the opportunity to resolve the deep-seated, more than, you know, almost 30 years of broken relationships with my caregivers. And I'm glad to say that for the most part it's resolved, and I wanted to do my best to live my life without regrets. Part of that means that I want to do my best to make sure that I do everything I can to make her life, you know, to make their lives comfortable, at least. Not comfortable in the sense that it's luxurious, just comfortable in the sense that I can alleviate as much pain from their lives. That's how bad it is. It's not about getting their lives to be happy. It's about getting their lives to be less filled with pain, because they have so many problems right now. And I'm just trying to do my best to alleviate those worries and troubles from them as much as possible. The current one, of course, which is health, but also she doesn't have a job, so there's that too. So man, it's just everything came in at once, and again, this on top of everything else. So this has just been this has been a really rough month. It's been real ass. It's like full of fucking bullshit. I just want to say that this is the first 2 live streams, and I'm not gonna scroll through that phone anymore, because pretty much I tried to show to the camera, but it's meaningless to go into any more depth, because at this point I've already talked about at least half of the major topics, the most important topics, and you get a gist of the reason why I fell off the Ahn Rho Project. So this is the first of 2 live streams. I'm gonna put an end to this and say that you know, we're gonna move on to the second live stream, which is gonna be a lot more I guess relaxing. It's gonna be more chill. I'm not gonna be talking as much as quickly. We're just gonna cover again things that we should have covered last week, but it is still important, because you know, the whole task list that you see on the photographs right now, you see that I spoke about. I spent like 20 minutes talking about it right now, and just venting on camera, in live stream, on all 4 platforms. Again, wherever you're from, welcome. The point is, I'm going to try to knock off as much of those domains or segments of life, from finance to task to health. I'm going to talk about Fitbit. I'm going to talk about that business partnership. I'm going to talk about all those things on camera, live, as a part of the Ahn Rho Project going forward, at least for the next coming weeks, because I have to include all this in the Ahn Rho Project. Everything that happened, all those 150 task list of items, and, you know, 20, 30 major different domains, I have to actually cover on the Ahn Rho Project now. And I shouldn't say have to, that makes it sound forced, so I'm going to say that I want to cover it, and it's something that I really ambitiously want to start covering, because like I said, I tend not to use the things that I haven't covered on stream. So before I will use the things, I usually cover on stream. So I have to give the story, the background, the backdrop, the people involved, the items that came in, and just my personal reflection on it, and as well as what I have to do next, what's coming next, what do I have to do within that cluster, that domain of tasks or plans, or that whole organization, you know, or group of people that I have to deal with. So that being said, this is the Ahn Rho Project, the first of 2 live streams today. A very long live stream. I didn't want it to drag out this long, but I guess it was inevitable. I saw this coming. I think the live stream is about half an hour at this point, and I'm gonna move on to the next live stream. So the next live stream is gonna cover food. It's just food and some gifts that are food. So I'll see you there in about, you know, right when this live stream ends. I'm going to start the next live stream. Okay, so, you know, I'll catch you all there. This is Ahn Rho signing out. On to the next live stream. I'll see you in about a minute.